She the North, Mississauga's own Bianca Andreescu is making a big statement at the U.S. Open right now. An entire nation cheering on Andreescu, and our Greg Ross is live at Arthur Ashe Stadium in New York City. Greg, I'll leave the good news to you.
Well, I can now say, Maribel, that I have witnessed history. I have just watched as the first Canadian in the singles draw has ever won any Grand Slam title, particularly here at the U.S. Open Center Court, Arthur Ashe Stadium, and in straight sets, it's Bianca Andreescu, the 19-year-old from Mississauga who beats the legend, 23-time Grand Slam champion Serena Williams. It was an incredible match. Now, I thought we would see some nerves early in this match because, let's face it, playing in your first ever Grand Slam final, well, we didn't see any nerves from Andreescu early in this match. In fact, on the very first serve, Serena's very first serve, she broke her, and it just continued from there. She won the first set 6-3, and then after a little bit of some shaky moments in the second set, she was absolutely incredible, able to stave off a comeback attempt from Serena Williams. She had 3 championship points before she was able to finally finish this match off in that second set, and you could see the emotion on Andreescu's face after finishing off that match. She realizes the magnitude of what she has just done, and she, at center court, was able to go and get an embrace from Serena Williams. I'm standing outside Arthur Ashe Stadium right now, and they kind of have their own viewing party out here, and it was incredible. Most of the fans here, obviously, pro Serena Williams, cheering for Serena Williams. They were not happy, but I can tell you, inside that stadium, even though the majority of the fans were cheering for Serena, there were quite a few Canadians in there. We saw some hockey jerseys. I don't think you see that very often in the final of a U.S. Open, but they were wearing their red and white. They were cheering for Bianca, and she says she can hear those fans, so I'm sure they helped her today, Maribel.
Now, Greg, I mean, you've been following Andreescu's run this entire time, but she was an unfamiliar face and certainly not a real name in the tennis world up until this U.S. Open, really. So put in perspective for us just how incredible and remarkable this run by Andreescu has been.
It's a meteoric rise. Like, think about the fact that she was outside the 200 in the world rankings at this time last year. And now, when the rankings come out on Monday, she's likely to be number 6 in the world. She's also now got 3 championships to her credit. Obviously, she won back in March at Indian Wells. That's when really people started to take notice. She had a lot of injury problems this season. She actually didn't play that much tennis. She missed the better part of 4 months because of a shoulder injury, but she came back. She wanted to be back for the Rogers Cup. She wanted to play on home soil in Toronto at the Aviva Center. She faced Serena Williams in the final there. We remember that Serena had to withdraw with back spasms, and so that was the first time that Andreescu was awarded the victory over Serena Williams. This time, though, she got it done without a withdrawal. She got it done on the court in straight sets, and I think people around the world are going to be taking notice of this 19-year-old Canadian now. What an incredible moment that we saw here today.
First Canadian to win a championship at the U.S. Open. Just incredible. Thank you for this, Greg. And no one is cheering louder than Andreescu's hometown crowd. A nervous but excited crowd in the city cheering her on at a viewing party for the big tennis match at Sportsnet Grill inside Rogers Center. Now, her incredible run, as we've talked about, has earned her her own hashtag, She the North. And while playing the biggest match of her life across the border, she's also inspiring the next generation right here at home. Angelina King spoke to Andreescu's former coach about the impact she's having.
Go Bianca!
The Bianca buzz at an all-time high at a tennis tournament in Toronto. So, Nikita, who's your favorite tennis player?
I can't decide, but it's either Bianca Andreescu or Serena Williams.
Today, she's cheering for Andreescu, her hometown idol. Just knowing she's from the GTA is inspiring.
I feel like I can make it past anything.
The 19-year-old tennis star from Mississauga is inspiring the next generation of players by not only making it to the U.S. Open final, but by just being herself.
I find that she always perseveres and never stops.
It makes me feel like maybe one day I can be as good as her.
On the other court, these brothers study how Andreescu plays.
I like how aggressive she is. I like how she hits her forehand.
Jensen Bacanic was a ball boy for 3 of her matches, and Lyndon got her autograph. They say she's kind and energetic.
I feel like she inspires me to be a pro on the ATP Tour.
She dreams big, very big.
Her previous coach says it's that message she passes on to younger kids. Arif Jalali coached Andreescu when she was 11 for 3.5 years. He says her mindset, skill, and determination set her apart instantly. He recalls the two joking about a pregame ritual before big matches.
And she writes in her hand, like, I won, Arif. She writes I won in her hands, and she showed to me, Arif, I won. I'm going to go get it done and come out. And she still have that type of determination, and when she wants something, she'll get it, since she was young.
Back at the tournament, tennis coach Rachel Gould says she can see Andreescu's inspiration in the way the kids are playing, and says the star is helping the sport grow in Canada and at her club.
And I think overall, there's more and more players coming out and playing again, even with parents, especially more and more females. I've seen a lot of more girls playing this year, I think, as well. So maybe that is an impact.
Gould says she hopes to see that interest extend far past this season, and says who knows, the next Bianca Andreescu might be playing right here. Angelina King, CBC News, Toronto.
Okay, well, it is day 3 of the Toronto International Film Festival, and it's a big one. So many stars out because tonight, 2 of the most anticipated movies premiere. Our Natalie Nanowski is on the red carpet at the Princess of Wales Theatre, where the movie Knives Out has just started. Natalie, the cast full of big names tonight.
You know what, Maribel? It was a star-studded red carpet. They just went inside. I'm going to try my best to name a few of them because the list is just so long and fantastic. So Christopher Plummer is in it. Jamie Lee Curtis is in it. Mr. Bond himself, Daniel Craig, is in it. Michael Shannon. It is huge. It's a murder mystery. It's a witty, hilarious, tons of plot twists, and the whole point is for the audience to guess who killed Christopher Plummer. He's an 85-year-old famous author in the movie, and his whole family is a suspect. Now, we asked the director earlier when he was here on the red carpet what he wants the audience to take away from the film, and he says he wants them to watch it with their family.
It was engineered to be seen with a big crowd so that you have a blast watching a bunch of movie stars just having the time of their lives in a whodunit. And it's a genre that I love so much.
So that, of course, isn't the only big film that's premiering today. There is another biggie. It's called Hustlers. It has an all-star female cast. It features J-Lo, Jennifer Lopez herself, and Constance Wu. And it is about a group of dancers who kind of take everything back and give a bunch of Wall Street execs. They take them for a joyride, and they do. You know what? They make a pretty penny during this whole thing. And now, earlier today, the whole cast was at an event at a women's conference. They hosted a panel called She Inspires Me, and Jennifer Lopez was asked what exactly pushed her to become the woman that she is. Have a listen.
It was my mom who instilled in us very young, because she felt like she was told the story that she needed to get married because it was, her time was running out and she was 20. And yeah. And she was 20 and her time was running out and she had to get married, and she was like, I don't ever want you guys to depend on anybody. I want you guys to be independent women.
So, of course, if you don't have access to the star-studded events or tickets to the movie premieres, TIFF is also huge on star watching. You could come walk down King Street and spot a few celebs. There's actually a coffee shop owner in the East End who launched a Twitter campaign to get Tom Hanks into her coffee shop for a cup of joe. Turns out he showed up last night. She wasn't there, but he gave her a call.
He said he'd found out about the campaign on Thursday and that it was very funny. He even watched our little TTC video. And I asked him if he appreciated that the Bosom Buddies theme song was in it, and he said it was very funny. And he told me I was very clever. So that made my day, absolutely.
So Knives Out is just screening right now, and for those of you at home, you can catch it in the fall just in time for American Thanksgiving. You know, to sit down and watch it with your family. Of course, Marivelle, this isn't it. There's still about a week left in TIFF, and tomorrow, guess who's going to be here? Scarlett Johansson.
Oh boy, just one of many, many stars, as you said. Thanks, Natalie. Okay, from that coffee shop in the East End to the red carpet, that's where Tom Hanks is headed. And that is where we find Eli Glasner on the red carpet for the movie A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Eli, one of the most talked about movies at TIFF this year, and looks like you're looking out for some stars.
Yeah, we're not looking at, we found them. They are here, and Tom Hanks hasn't headed. Tom Hanks has arrived. First he did the coffee shop, now he is here on the red carpet. We'll swing over, see if you can make him out. You might also notice Mr. Rogers has a posse. There's a group of people in red cardigans there to show their support of the film starring Tom Hanks as Fred Rogers. And as we've been talking to the cast, as we've been talking to Chris Cooper, as we've been talking to the director, what everybody has said again and again is that if ever there was a time for a movie about Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers, the children's host that, you know, taught us to love and appreciate each other, that time is now. The director saying that, you know, he has a message to send, and that man right there, Tom Hanks, who else could personify this kind of person, known for his kindness and goodness, than Hanks? And in fact, other actors were saying that when they were acting in scenes with Tom Hanks, that it was intimidating. They didn't think they were doing their best because it was Hanks. And we are standing by to actually get a word with Tom Hanks, but certainly a lot of interest in this film. Could be an Oscar contender. You think with the divisive state right now in terms of politics, United States, it seems an incredibly timely film to come here to TIFF, and could be an awards contender. This is the premiere, and so we'll hopefully get a chance to talk to Tom Hanks about slipping on that cardigan, slipping into those sneakers, tying up those laces, and what he learned from playing Fred. And I think the message of this movie is, you know, some people are just that nice. That is the journey of the film. I'm going to turn around so we can start doing our job.
What made Fred Rogers such a unique individual in your mind when you played him in the role?
Well, he had already had a very unique place in the history. There's nobody in media, there's nobody in television, there's nobody in the, I think, in the consciousness of anybody who was born after 1956, which is when I was born, that didn't already have an understanding, as well as I think an opinion of Mr. Rogers. And by and large, the opinions were either he is a saint or he is a mystery. What drives this guy? And the answer is he's both. You know, if saints are allowed to have mystery, he's it. If it's people with mysterious, same common human behaviors of everybody else, if they can be saints, well then so it. I think what I learned, I think, was that you can somehow choose. You can choose an authentic life even when you're working in the midst of an extremely fake and bendable job. And he was. You know, you have to look at his output on television, and it was singularly honest. And I think you'd easily dismiss it because it wasn't an honesty that mattered to you and me. It was an honesty that mattered to extremely young people who did not know how the world worked. And I think there's an awful lot of people that will turn that desire into commerce, a way to make a living, a way to sell products, a way to merchandise, you know, anything. He did not do that. He just wanted to make little kids, little human beings, feel safe, even if they didn't have all the answers or couldn't understand all the answers.
How special was it for you to walk up and hear this whole crowd singing the theme song?
Well, it's a good song. I'm surprised that as many Canadians have it down as they do. Was there a Canadian Mr. Rogers? Was it? Where was it? It was Mr. Rogers, rightly so. See, actually, one of his first TV gigs was in Canada before he became a. It's always a pleasure, and as Keanu Reeves says, it's much better than the alternative.
Why do you think this is the right film right now?
I haven't the vaguest idea. Who knows if it is? I don't know if it's the right message. That is something I think that Vox Populi has to determine whether or not it's true. But movies work on every single level of fantasy, of revenge, of justice, of retribution, just as it works in realms of love and companionship and friendship and kindness. That's all the history of cinema. When it's done right, and when you're doing it in order to make a comment on the human condition as opposed to trying to alter human condition, I think that if that all comes together, then we'll make sense to an audience who wants to come out and see us. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Tom.
Have a great night. Not coming back.
So there you go, Tom Hanks on the red carpet for the premiere of his film, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. And our thanks to Eli Glasner there, who got his mic in there for CBC television to get those comments, very heartfelt comments from Tom Hanks. All right, let's get a look at your weather forecast too. Very important for this weekend. Marta Chirilovich has been patiently standing by. So how's it looking, Marta?
Well, I mean, for TIFF tonight, it might be a little chilly, but this is the seasonal for this time of year, 13 degrees, so it's not out of the ordinary, but again, it is getting a little bit cooler than normal. 19 degrees, the normal for this time of year. Seasonal is around 22, so we're just shy of that tomorrow, and that's because there's a high pressure area pushing in, and it's going to bring some of those cooler temperatures, but definitely clear skies. This is a satellite radar for right now, just showing that the activity is in northeastern Ontario, in through eastern Ontario and parts of southern Quebec. So really here for us, we're pretty clear. It's just some of those storms that are firing up to the north and northeast of us rather. But it is our neighbors in the east that are seeing some of that heavy rain as Dorian makes its way, and it's about to make landfall within the hour. It is a tropical storm, but it does have characteristics of a Hurricane 2, Category 2. It's bringing with it some of those severe winds, and you can see this track as it's making its way right on the outside, just about to make landfall in Nova Scotia. As I mentioned again, it's within the hour that it will hit, and there has been quite a bit of rainfall, massive power outages. More than 390,000 people are without power, and there has definitely been extreme amounts of rainfall throughout the day for parts of Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. Yarmouth has seen more than 60 millimeters of rain, and Halifax as well. I'll tell you more later in the show.
Okay, we'll see you in a bit. Thanks, Marta. And we'll be right back. Police are looking for witnesses after a shooting in a Richmond Hill plaza left a 27-year-old man in life-threatening condition. It happened outside a restaurant on Bayview, just north of Highway 7 last night. Police believe a male dressed in all black with a hoodie covering his face approached the victim and shot him. Police say the shooting appears to be targeted. Anyone with information is asked to come forward. And in Toronto's East End, a 20-year-old motorcyclist is dead after he collided with an SUV last night. Police say the motorcycle was traveling at high speeds on Lawrence Avenue, east of the Don Valley, at around midnight. The SUV, traveling the opposite direction, tried to make a left turn and the two vehicles collided. The motorcyclist died on scene. Police say speed may have been a factor in this crash. No charges have been laid at this point. Hurricane Dorian is hammering Atlantic Canada. The Category 2 storm is expected to make landfall in Halifax within the hour, packing winds around 150 kilometers an hour and rainfall of up to 200 millimeters. As it closed in, the storm knocked out power to more than 250,000 customers in Nova Scotia and toppled a crane on a high-rise building. Jamie Strachan has more from Halifax.
Throughout the day here in Halifax, the ferocity and strength of Hurricane Dorian increasingly felt on the ground. At the beginning of the day, it was really kind of a light wind. You could feel the rains, but nothing like we've felt throughout the day here as the winds and the rains have intensified. And so too has the damage around the city of Halifax. If you walk the streets, you won't see a lot of people or cars, most people staying home. What you will see is a lot of debris, a lot of fallen trees, some small limbs, some rather old trees laying across some main streets here in Halifax and in residential streets. The most spectacular thing that we've seen, if you will, was a crane that fell before, blown down by the wind. And it's not just the large debris. This is a city that has learned its lesson more than a decade ago when Hurricane Juan blew through Halifax, caused substantial damage. A lot of that damage caused by flying debris. This time, officials asking people, both large business owners and residential homeowners, please do what you can to keep that debris secure.
Some of the debris that's laying around are lumber, ladders, and normal household debris like a basketball net, lawn furniture, and if that hits a power line, it will have effects.
People here in Halifax will have to remain vigilant as the afternoon turns into evening. The intensity of this storm expecting to increase. Hurricane Dorian touching down loud and clear here in Halifax. Jamie Strachan, CBC News, Halifax.
All right, let's check back in with Marta Chirelovich for a look at the rest of the weekend's forecast, but also a little bit further out. Hi, Marta.
Yeah, Maribel, I mean, it's 13 degrees tomorrow morning, so it's definitely going to be a little bit crispy to start the day, but that's the seasonal temperature. And then in through the afternoon, it gets to 19 degrees. So that's when the seasonal temperature for this time of year is around 22. So 19 is not bad. But let's go and see some of the temperatures, what's happening right now. So the satellite radar is showing that there is some rain showers and thunderstorm activity in through the northeastern part of Ontario. So the Nickel Belt and the southern part of Quebec can see that. But here in the GTA and southern Ontario, it's pretty clear for us. The temperatures, 19, as I mentioned, Sunday for Toronto, 22 in Windsor. So definitely right around just below the seasonal mark. This is the GTA. As a high pressure air is pushing through, the next time we could see some of that rain is in through Tuesday evening as we get stuck in this warm sector here. You can see that there's some of that potential for that storm activity as that warm air and humidity. So it's going to creep up. We're going to feel that humidity by Wednesday. As you can see, it feels like 37, and there is some of that thunderstorm activity happening there. 28 degrees for Toronto, and again here just a little bit below seasonal for Toronto. And just before we go, we'll touch on Dorian. It's imminently about to make landfall in Nova Scotia, but we do have active coverage, and we'll continue that here and at CBC as well.
Certainly more to watch. Thank you, Marta. Okay, before we go, we wanted to show you the winning moment. There it is. Bianca Andreescu is the U.S. Open champion, beating the best player in the world, Serena Williams. The Mississauga team makes history as the first Canadian to win the U.S. Open. She the North indeed. That's our show for you tonight. Have a great evening, everyone.